Hi Scorpio, welcome to your end of June 2020 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. I'm doing the Lunar Eclipse Aftermath, After Party. So how did it go for you? Did you feel any different? As for myself, the only real change, it did feel very emotional, maybe because I am a Sagittarius, but also have had a lot of tech issues around that time, and I don't know if that's not necessarily any way connected to it, but that's the change for me. So for you, this happened in your second house, either the first house or the second house, depending on what if you're a later degree of Scorpio, it was actually in your first house and more of a ending of who you are on some level. And with the second house, something to do with finances. So we'll look at that, but it could be something good. Oh, I had the cards like right side up. That's brilliant. Oh, they're mixed in. Just give me 1 second. Wow. Why did I do that? Okay. Let me just see here. I just think there's a few of them that got mixed up. Okay, I think that should be okay. Okay. So a bit discombobulated because of that, but it is what it is, isn't it? And it's funny because they say that lunar eclipses can be like relationship issues sometimes, and we have a Venus retrograde. So sometimes these can involve, past relationships coming, up with the Venus retrograde, and then with the lunar eclipse, it can kind of expose secrets and just what a Scorpio person loves, right? Secrets and exposés. So the Page of Swords is the heart of the matter, and I was going to say, unfortunately, Scorpio has a tendency to kind of be like this, be very suspicious, on high alert. Like, okay, what do you do? What are you really doing? And the more that I was talking about this, and maybe some of the videos that I've put up, because in my own chart, even though I'm a Sagittarian, my sun is in Sagittarius, but it's in the 8th house. So that's Scorpio's house, and I did a video on that, and other people were telling me things, and I realized that I'm like the Page of Swords a lot too, and it's like I wasn't even aware of it because it's so much a part of you. Where a Scorpio person or somebody with the sun in the 8th house just doesn't accept the cover story. There's got to be something else. They must be lying, or something. And it's like, it's not really paranoia until it goes too far, but it's just like that natural inclination, or Mercury in Scorpio, where the person is always saying, there's got to be more to the story than this. What is the true, that's just the cover story. And page can be messages. So I even think about that with Mercury and Scorpio, the mind kind of going in overdrive. But sometimes there may be a good reason for it. And here we have, as the past card, the Tower. So some kind of a calamity, and that could be the lunar eclipse that kind of busted everything wide open. And by the way, even though the date of that eclipse was June 5th, you might have had something in May that was your Tower moment. And it doesn't have to be with romance. The reason I'm saying that is because we have a couple of cards like the Empress and the Two of Cups that kind of go along with that. But let's say it's something with the workplace and something where you thought that your job was secure and you got laid off. And, you know, it's really weird because I always thought that laid off meant just a temporary layoff. Now they almost use it as fired, you know. I mean, it sounds a lot nicer than being fired. And meaning that you lost your job, but it wasn't because of incompetence, it was because of other things. So, but perhaps it was something that was supposed to be temporary, and then they just kept stretching it out. I'm talking about because of current events, shall we say. And then you're kind of like a little bit suspicious. How long did they know this? Did they just string me along? And looking at the higher message here, we have the Eight of Pentacles. This is a card of somebody perfecting their craft, who's doing a good job. In some cases, it can say, don't allow something like that to make you think that that you did something wrong, that you weren't good enough, that you were not doing enough. And you know, because this is more of the spiritual message, so it could be something like that. For other people, it could be that, and the same thing with a personal relationship. It can even be maybe you tried too hard, and it was like you were doing all of the heavy lifting. You were the one who was trying to make it work, and you didn't kind of like take notice of the fact that it wasn't mutual. And that should have been the red flag, that it was not really a mutual relationship. And so, you know, that those are kind of the things that people have to, you know, deal with, or if you want to call it, accept and learn from. And the other thing too with the Eight of Pentacles, it can be that perhaps you need to expand your skill set, so that if something like that occurs, that you can go, okay, well, I'm eligible for this because I have this other certification and I can do this too. So that you're not just stuck because you're limited in your credentials, you know what I mean? So it just means, you know, just some people, they just are really good about that, where they just are always learning, always gaining more, or, you know, always getting training, and maybe even in kind of a diverse area, so that, you know, you're never like putting all your eggs into one basket in one particular industry, if you will, that sometimes, you know, they get harder hit. And what crosses you is the Empress card. This could, you know, it's so funny because I got this for, I think it was Taurus too. You know, it's so funny. I remember, I think it was, now I'm tempted in the title to put, you know, Hoochie Mama. The Empress is a card about, you know, the feminine principle gone awry, using sexuality to get what you want. And, you know, it's really interesting about that, because if somebody does that to make money and they're a prostitute, there's like more of a, I think it's more of a clear-cut thing. And it's almost like more respectable in that sense, because well, I don't want to put a value judgment, but I'm saying that it's almost more of an easier thing. But if somebody is like looking for love, and they think that in order to get that, they have to be the seductress, and Scorpio can be that very magnetic presence, very alluring presence. And it's like, you know, the Black Widow spider, I think, is like a Scorpio. But then it's like, once you get that person, then what happens? are you, and especially if, let's say, they were in another relationship. I have a feeling, though, that a lot of Scorpios, that's like sacred to you, that you don't want to be taking somebody else's partner from them, because you feel like you wouldn't want that done to you. But you know, if that is true for any of you, or just in general, that you think that that's how you have to get a man, then what happens when you do get that person? Then you feel like you have to be something that you're not, you know, that you have to put up this front in order to be, you know, that stereotypical seductress, when you have so much more to you than that. So maybe that's where the paranoia comes from, because you feel like you were doing something that wasn't really you, and once you let your guard down, then all of a sudden this person moved on, so to speak. And the lesson really is not to be something that you're not, and to be able to weed out people who are just interested in one thing. For others, this could be like turning your back on creativity, turning your back on artistic things in favor of perhaps, you know, Page of Swords could be a new job in some kind of a mental profession, like teaching or that kind of thing. And maybe you're really good at working with your hands. Even Eight of Pentacles, I can think of somebody who's like a crafty kind of a person. And don't let go of that, even if you are doing something else. Always nurture that part of yourself, because it can sometimes be very psychologically important too, or spiritually important. And this could be like I'm joking, and this is probably like such a antiquated saying, hoochie mama. I just like saying old things, you know. But the Empress, that might be somebody that is, maybe it's an ex of your partner, and you think of her in that way because you have dealt with, you know, the Tower. You know, maybe the Tower isn't something that just happened, but it has been in your past. I say over and over again that I think a lot of Scorpios have trust issues, so that can definitely impact, you know, a new relationship. And so maybe you're kind of worried about this person, this Empress person, because you feel like she's trying to get him back. Maybe it's the mother of his child, and you feel like, why does he have to even contact her? He shouldn't contact her, but if they have a child, they might have to. Again, you know, you have to be able to trust the person that you're with. If you don't, then you have a problem with him, first and foremost. She's like additional baggage in terms of, I mean, if she's problematic, I'm not saying a human being is baggage, but if she is jealous or something like that, he might be stoking the flames of that, you know, by his own kind of wishy-washy behavior. So that's on him, you know. Whatever is going on, getting into it with her could be, you know, exactly what she wants, that she's trying to create some kind of drama. And you could be like the proud lioness, even though you're a Scorpio. I just don't think that Scorpios are very, like, warm and fuzzy. And you're just kind of like, you're just so above it all that you don't, you know, even bother with something like that. You know, confident. So what's coming in, or the advice, the Seven of Cups, be careful what you're choosing, you know, make sure that there might be a lot of confusion right now. If you are in between jobs and you're getting job offers, you may be tempted. Or if you're like looking for alternatives. I don't know what the Tower means to you if you did lose your job. If you did, make sure that people are being on the up and up. We are having a Mercury retrograde, I believe, in the second half of this month. It might actually be, I don't know, I can't remember exactly when it is. I think it's June 18th or something. And so be aware that things may not be as they seem. People may present themselves very in a good light, and if you have to be discerning, if that's what the Page of Swords means for you, you're going to have to be very careful, not allowing your emotions to get the best of you. And this card is connected to Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces, and sometimes those emotions can be very deceptive because we are having that Venus retrograde. That's why I'm saying this outcome card, the Two of Cups, is a card of commitment, but it can be a card of reuniting with somebody. And, you know, is this person, I mean, maybe that's what the Page of Swords is. It's like somebody has come back into your life after they tore it apart, you know, and you're like saying to yourself, should I forgive them? And with Scorpio, a lot of times forgiveness is a bit difficult because you do tend to take things to heart, to be very emotional and to take things to heart. And yet, on the flip side, a person may present themselves in a way that is not what they really are, and that you know, you may want that relationship even if you're suspicious of it, and you have to be very careful. If somebody wants to try it again, remember what, you know, what happened before. With the Tower card, it's almost like having the rug pulled out from under you, where you may not have even known it was coming. However, I do believe that sometimes those Tower moments when it's in relationships can be in part due to the person who experiences them because of their behavior. If they're acting too suspicious, the other person may be like, whoa, you know, this person, I'm not sure. They get like really intense. They're very intense. And I don't really like that, you know, quality, but they really do care about you and they want to make it work. But there has to be a lot of communication because everyone wants to get back together, but they don't necessarily want to face what drove them apart in the first place. And this could even be coming back to a company that you were laid off from. And maybe, you know, with the Seven of Cups, there's a lot of confusion in your mind because it triggered uncertainty and triggered paranoia. But maybe it was really just all in your mind. You know, so it's a very interesting conundrum, to say the least. And Mercury goes direct, I think, around July 12th or so. So things will shake out in July at some point. And I think that especially when, you know, as we get towards the, you know, the latter part of July, when the sun is in Leo, and we have these planets, you know, the water signs, even though they're compatible with you, Scorpio, they're still water, you know, so there's a lot of emotion, a lot of subjectivity with water, you know, kind of like projecting one's own experiences onto situations that may not be true, you know, that's what paranoia comes from. Sometimes suspicions are aroused for good reason. You know, I'm not saying that every time that you suspect something that you're crazy, you know, but like I said, just even thinking about myself, I just think it's funny that sometimes we do it and we don't even know that we're giving people the third degree about simple things, you know. And I laugh, but then my partner is like kind of, oh my God, you know, what should I say? Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a personal reading, I'm promoting right now my whole enchilada reading, which is a full-length natal chart and transits reading along with a full-length tarot reading for a special price. It's on my website and along with other readings. The link is below. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.